Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the show. Today's special guest is Eric Kestner from Burn Your Vest, and he's on to tell us about that movement and a little bit about what they represent and how that you can be involved with that moving forward. So, thank you for coming on, Eric.
Thank you, Shawn. Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate it. And if to get started, did you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your involvement with Burn Your Vest?
Sure. I created Bernier Vest in October. I'm a Philly veteran and saw the disappointment there, and that kind of lit a fire under me at that point. I kind of understood what we were up against at that point after we lost in Philly, and uh, I think that all of us kind of knew that after the DNC went to court and found out that they're basically allowed to rig their own party's elections and that type of thing, and we figured that they're just going to do it again. So that was the whole. That was how Bernie Your Best started, just because we predicted that Bernie was going to go to a contested convention. We predicted that that's the only way the DNC can steal it from Bernie is at a convention or through a convention. So
Right.
our our uh, our group basically uh, depends on that convention happening, and the mission statement will pretty much remain the same as it is today until that happens. If we do go to a virtual convention, well, then the group will have to pivot. Uh, Maybe towards DC, towards DNC headquarters. Not sure, but we're hoping that convention takes place. We know that the DNC relies on the convention for a lot of money. It's one of their biggest events. They make a ton of money, and
For sure.
I
Yeah.
think I think they just may be greedy enough to not take it virtual because I don't think they're going to be able to make as much money that way, and you know
Right.
their money. So I think that we're going to get a convention, and you know we're going to take it day at a time, but hopefully we'll be in the safe zone by then as far as the virus goes. So we just have to see what happens.
Yeah. Hopefully, right? I really hope that things are getting closer to being back to normal by then. But
Yeah, yeah.
if there's not a convention, though, I see the potential in pivoting. I want to keep that out there. Please do that. Continue forward
hmm
because they are trying to pull. Have you seen any of the stuff that they're trying to pull now in different states, like Colorado?
Sure, they're taking his delegates away
Mm-hmm.
from him,
What do you think about
and
that?
that's pretty wrong. They're not taking away the other candidates'
No.
delegates. It looks um, they're just screwing them any way they can.
Well, and they're talking about even canceling out primaries now because they don't have. He's on the ballot, but he's not running an active campaign. So they're saying that according to their rules, they can suspend that primary.
Colorado is.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, though, that kind of talk and behavior out of the DNC, when we know they said in court that they're a private corporation and they can pick whoever they want in the back room over cigars, why would they honor, you know, the contested convention? Why explain that part to me?
You see the contested convention as a chance that they don't need to take if they could take it virtual. Are you saying?
Well, I'm saying they'll try everything they can to avoid it. And if they're able to pull Bernie's delegates away from him, that's what they'll do to eliminate him as a threat. That's my
hmm
concern.
Yeah. Well, typically there has to be. I mean, we're still in the primary, and
Right.
it all has to culminate. All of the rigging has to go to that end goal of theirs to secure the nomination for Biden, and there's not. Um, uh, I don't think that, I think they're too greedy to not run a convention.
Right.
And because it's such a moneymaker, all the lobbyists are there and they're planning for the next 4 years, and it's just it's just something that almost has to happen. I mean, they actually have to take it from them someplace,
Right.
right? It has to finally be, the theft has to be completed, and that's historically been at the convention.
So, what is the
Where,
strategy for the convention from the Burn Your Vest movement?
well, we're first of all, our strategy is to multiply. We need a lot of activists to show up in Milwaukee. We've got a pretty big group now, but it'd be great if we could get 100,000 people out there. Um, that's number one. Not a whole lot's going to happen unless we've got some really big numbers out there. Unless people can make it to Milwaukee, and it's through numbers that we'll be able to apply leverage, that we'll be able to exert our influence, as Bernie said. And we plan on exerting a lot of influence, Shawn. We're going to do what we need to do to make sure that the Bernie delegates inside Fiserv Forum feel supported. We want them to be able to hear us outside, right? And if we're denied our platform, we need to storm the floor of the convention. And Bernie delegates, as well as supporters outside, we just need to park ourselves and just not let it go. Make them haul us off one by one, kicking and screaming if they have to, but we can't go home.
So, hold a sit-in at the convention.
Occupy,
yeah, occupy it.
Yeah, and I've even tossed around changing the name of Burn Your Vest now to something like Occupy Fiserv, or something to that effect. Something with a little.
What do you
some
think
language
about an organized, actual Yellow Vest movement moving forward after, if the worst case scenario happens and they steal it at the convention, moving forward as an organized, like that kind of direction? Sure. Moving in, because I think that's where our strength really is, and how we stay empowered.
Yeah.
Because
go
ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, what we were talking about when we were starting the feed out, I want to go ahead and reiterate that this is ours now.
Right.
So we need to give people a little bit of guidance and leadership towards the direction, what to do with that outrage and that energy. Now that the campaign has essentially been pulled away from us, we need to refocus people. And I think that would be just a suggestion to get going forward. I know I want to try and experiment and bounce ideas off of people on how to organize things like that.
Yeah. Well, we're planning on more than just the convention, of course. May 1st for the workers' strike. We want to get out there.
We've been promoting that one too on the show.
That's great.
May 1st.
That's a worldwide event. It's not just a national event. The workers' strike is going to be big, and so we want to get the vests out there and support the workers, support the rent strike, support the general strike, and so that'll be an opportunity soon. Here, that's only a couple weeks away, less. 12 days away, but
and you guys have plans for that event?
Yeah, we want to get out there. There's strikes all over the place locally, so we want to encourage our members to get out to whatever's closest to them, whatever local strikes happening in their area. For me, it's the Seattle area. I'm a few hours away from Seattle, but that's where I'm going to be heading.
Right.
And I've got a car full of yellow vests, and we're gonna show up for that one and for other ones too. It's interesting, Shawn. This just occurred to me several days ago, but the Republican National Convention starts 3 days after the Democratic Convention ends, and it's about 13 hours south of Milwaukee in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Really?
And really, by all rights, if we're gonna hand it to the corrupt Democrats, shouldn't we really be handing it to the corrupt Republicans too? I mean, they're just as bad. I mean, if not worse. Who knows? Maybe the Democrats are worse now. Anyway, it's all bad, and I think we should be fighting them too. And if we lose this convention, we should be showing up at DNC headquarters in Washington D.C.
Agreed.
and stick around there. Uh, you know, stick around, not go home for dinner. I'm talking about occupy. So, there's a lot of different directions to go. I'm also seeing yellow vest groups pop up. Like you can do a Facebook search for, just put yellow vest in there, and you can see a variety of other yellow vest groups that are showing up. There's one in every state now. For a group called Yellow Vests USA. They've got a satellite basically in every state, and they're organizing that way. So, which is pretty cool. There's a Yellow Vest dank meme stash now, and Yellow Vests New York City are planning on hitting the streets the same day the convention starts, but in New York City. So that will be some support also. So things are happening, and that 4 months till then is an eternity. So many things could happen, Shawn. I mean, Biden could stroke out. His campaign could just it could implode, or it could outside factors could cause it to.
What more could possibly happen to it?
His health could fail. Like I said, there's the whole thing of the whole rape allegations that are just starting to be questioned in the mainstream now.
Are they? I don't watch any mainstream media. Are they talking about Tara Reid now?
That's what I hear. I don't watch any either, but I pretty much get my news off of from our members, actually, as they report it in and make posts.
Interesting.
So I'm seeing some of that now,
because they were ignoring that story.
Oh yeah, big time. But even Bernie's not ignoring it now. He's saying, well, it needs to get investigated.
Did he say that? Wow.
So
I'm a little behind.
Yeah, I mean, what my point is that I don't know how that's going to affect how it all shakes down in the end. But in this climate, the political climate could completely change in 4 months. I mean, the way I see this virus is that it could be way worse than they're telling us, or it might not be nearly as bad as they're telling us, and we have no idea because we don't trust our media. And that big of a swing, between maybe not be that bad and it could be way worse. That's a really big swing, and it leaves a lot of uncertainty, and so people are probably feeling just as anxious about that swing and that not knowing than they are the actual virus, kind of a double whammy. But anyway, we'll see what happens. But I really think that the political climate could change by then, and Biden might be in a bad spot, and the DNC might be looking for another candidate, and they might be.
So you don't believe at all that things are over for Bernie politically, as far as for the presidential election?
They could be, but I still see a window. I just want to jam my foot in that window and make it a little bit larger is all. And, we need to find a window. We certainly need to play out the primary the way we intended to. We need to vote for Bernie. He's still on the ballot. So if you have the opportunity to vote for Bernie, do so. We got to gather as many delegates as possible. That still might not be enough. But so really what we need to do is we need to consider this platform ours, because it is. And if anybody's supposed to fight for our platform, it's us.
It is.
And we got to show up in Milwaukee. That's all there is to it. If we have an overwhelming amount of support in Milwaukee, anything can happen. Shawn, with 100,000 people or more, I mean, things like fences and doors and locks and things, latches, all those things become insignificant. People will just melt right through. I mean, that amount of people will just push right through anything.
Do you think that what Bernie did hurt your chances of getting to that number?
Yeah, it did. However, we can still make that number by instead of focusing on our individual groups' membership total, we need to focus on what kind of total we can put together with all of our allies, with all of the parallel progressive groups out there, not just the other yellow vest groups, but all the other progressive groups. You know, there's a ton of them, and we all need to get on the same side for this. It's like we're all circling the funnel, you know, and we're not in the same spot, and we're not united yet. And if we were all united, we wouldn't go down that funnel. We would, you know, we'd fuck it up.
Right.
You know, we'd get together and we'd fuck it up.
That's what we need to do.
Yeah. We people need to start saving their money, and it's an expensive proposition, dude. I mean, me and a friend went. We were on a shoestring budget in 2016, and we had to get to the Philly convention, and neither of us could afford airfare. Neither of us could afford, anything. We couldn't afford hotels. There weren't hotels anyway to be had. They're all booked and everything. But basically, with $600 a piece, we were able to go cross country, and that covered gas and food, and about 2 weeks worth. And went to Philly, and then came back and stayed in tents at FDR Park.
Wow.
And just totally roughed it on a shoestring. But still, that's a ton of money, you know, $1,200, especially for people that have to work. But we could be in a good spot here because people can caravan, people can, join each other and split expenses, and bicycle, skateboard, hitchhike, do what you got to do to get to that convention. We're trying to line up friendlies in Milwaukee, property, places where people can stay. So there's a lot to be done still, but we need to get all those folks in Wisconsin, and I'm not sure how that's done, but it sure is a lot different task than building a group of 12,000 club members.
Right.
Getting 12,000 people to Milwaukee is a completely different thing.
Exactly.
So, but we can do it. It was the best, worst time of my life, back in 2016. The people that I met and the experience that, even though we lost, it was the best experience, worst experience I ever had. And, even if we can't push Bernie's platform through, I'm not sure how much hope there is to push Bernie through. The circumstances would have to change, obviously, but pushing Bernie's platform through, that's something that's still on the table, and we can do that. We just have to dig our heels in now, and we have to be willing to tell, like Lawrence O'Donnell says, you have to be willing to say absolutely not. You may not have my vote. You may not. You can't have it unless you would completely adopt our platform. You have to be willing to say no. So
I'm 100% willing to say no. I don't think it's responsible to reward them with our vote at this point. You can't reward that behavior. You're condoning it if you do.
And you're giving up your power too, and it's way too early to pledge your vote to anyone. There's a lot of burners out there trying to figure out how to vote right now. Oh, should I go green? Should I go to SA? Or,
and they're fighting
DSA?
About it.
Yeah, and the sad part is that we all support the same platform. So why can't we get it together? Because that's the important part. Well, that's the part we got to push through.
I think they're worried that even if Joe Biden was to adopt Bernie's platform like Hillary did in 2016, nobody really had any faith that she would enact any of it, that she would really fight for it or push to get it done. So just the platitude of, like Biden in the live feed the other day with Bernie saying, yeah, I support $15 an hour minimum wage, Bernie. What does he? You know,
Does he? Yeah.
you see what I mean? He can say it,
Yeah, he's a liar. How can you trust anything he
right?
says?
But what evidence do you have exactly? Um, so I don't think people. I worry about getting their excitement behind getting the establishment to take our platform. You
Hmm.
know, um,
Yeah.
but I like the idea of the direct action, and I think it needs
Hmm.
to go forward no matter what they do.
Yeah. Well, if the DNC rejects the platform, we need to run them
They
over.
need to be torn to the ground.
We need to run them over. We need to chase them out of town.
Yes,
And uh, they have to be punished. They can't keep doing this and just not ever have any uh, ramifications where people just go, oh, well, DNC did it again to us. No, there has to be a stopping place for that
they
behavior.
must be destroyed. I fully agree.
Well, when I say burn it down, what I mean is the DNC as a party has to be discredited, and if it's going to continue to exist, it needs to be completely rehabilitated, restaffed, and uh, so that's what I mean when I say burn it down. I don't mean light it on fire.
No, I didn't
I,
think
I,
it. Well, yeah, you
I
might want to be
mean,
careful,
I
and
mean
there's idiots out there, but
yeah, yeah. No, what I mean is I restaff it so
yeah,
they run a fair operation, because that's not what they are
no,
now.
you'd have to rebuild it from the ground up if
Yeah,
they're if
and
they're willing to be reformed. But that's what they would need is massive reform.
right, and also massive election reform to go with that at the same time.
Yeah, what do you think about how bad they rigged this primary? I think they did more rigging, actual vote rigging and voting manipulation this time than they did in 2016.
Yeah, yeah, they're good at it.
There
They've
was
got lots
one
of practice.
state, Vermont, I believe, where the exit
Hmm.
polls were up to 20 something percent off.
God, yeah,
Double digits in multiple states. Always in
yeah,
Biden's favor. That's just mathematically impossible.
that's like building seven. You can't really go any. I mean, once you come to understand that, it's like, okay, well, the whole thing's rigged then. You
If
know,
one is set for demolition, they all are. Yeah, exactly. The
you know,
you had every state
you don't need to
really.
go any farther than that.
Every state's exit polls were off. But you had the Iowa caucus with the app, the shadow app. All of these
Hmm.
things, how many coincidences can there be? So they obviously
Not
rigged it. You know, in
Yeah, yeah, and
2016 it was proven, but I think we've
yeah,
proven it this time too.
enough for me to take action. That's
So
for
they're an
sure.
enemy of democracy. They must that what they're doing must be brought to us to an end.
Yeah, yeah. And the whole idea behind burning your vest, the yellow vest, uh, that the color yellow is what we want to do is we want to create a sea of yellow outside, and we want the Bernie delegates inside, to bring their yellow vests in also, and we want to turn the whole place yellow. So everybody that's watching on live television, and everybody else can see where the support lies. Where that it's behind Bernie's platform. That's what it's all about. And so if everybody can see this, then why shouldn't the superdelegates push Bernie through if they have the opportunity? They still have the opportunity. It's not like that system's not working anymore. You know, if shouldn't they push the candidate through that has the base big enough to beat Trump? Well, if his campaign declines, they're going to be looking for somebody to take that position. And I only know of one candidate with that big of a base, that can beat Trump's unfortunate base, which is rather large. They're going to need, unless their plan is just to lose and they don't care, which could very well be. They just might not
I
care. It's
honestly
like, okay,
believe that is their plan.
their actions show that. So why wouldn't we think that? But um,
Yeah, they can't be trying to win. You're throwing all your support behind a fundamentally flawed candidate with dementia and serious harassment and a rape allegation, but multiple
mhm,
harassment allegations, 7 women.
mhm,
So a
mhm.
heavily flawed candidate to throw your support behind in what you're saying is the most dangerous president in history must be stopped, must be removed from power and replaced. This is who you put all your faith into, Joe Biden. You had a winner. If they really wanted to
Yeah.
win, they would have went with Bernie Sanders. He was winning. There was organized effort to stop us and to stop this revolution. Like all of them of dropping out and endorsing Biden right before Super Tuesday. That was a coup. They were all working together, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too.
And this is the establishment. But what I'm saying is, this is the super delegates. These are the type of people. They're going to go to any length, including lose, to make sure we don't win. So I don't know that we'll push them to do the right thing, but we've made a lot of changes in the narrative with our activism and our action. And I think we could move the platform into the narrative better than we could to the Democratic Party.
Yeah, but they need to be crashed.
Oh, yeah, and infiltrated, taken over, brought down, and exposed.
Yeah, yeah, on live national television. You know, last time in 2016 when we were at the fences making a big stir, you know, they cut to the CNN cut to the cameras outside for about 3 seconds, and they saw what was happening, and immediately they cut to boys to men, right? You remember that?
Oh yeah, and then had the seat fillers, darkening parts of the arena. They did all they could to hide it. You know, it made me believe that, you know, a lot of people say, well, we shouldn't vote because it's so rigged. We should just not participate. And I don't think they'd care. I think they'd fill the whole place with actors and just pretend that there were people participating in democracy. They wouldn't care. I think you got to get more active. Not voting isn't the way to go, but I want to be surgical with my vote.
Yeah. Well, you certainly don't need to pledge it early, and you don't need to decide what to do now.
Right.
And we've got people pledging their vote to Biden, and we don't even have a solid platform from that guy yet. We don't even know what he's offering yet. And people say, "Oh yeah, I'll give my vote to him."
Yeah.
We don't even have an offer yet. You know, it's like saying, you know, to the guy that's shopping for your car on the phone, he calls you up, wants to know, you know, it's like saying, "Oh, just, you know, come on down and buy it. You know, I don't care what you want, how much money."
Right,
you know, it doesn't make any sense. You know, you got to. Anyway, you see where I'm going.
Use your bargaining power. Exactly.
Yeah.
We have
Leverage.
power.
Why give it away?
Right. And the more we allow ourselves to be splintered, the less power we have. So that's what worries me. I want to keep as many of us together as we can. And I think giving us a path towards achieving our goals is what's going to accomplish that. Because people's hopes were on Bernie. And with him doing what he did, which have I asked you exactly how you feel about what he did during while we've been recording? How do you feel personally about what he did?
I feel like the DNC was going to cheat Bernie regardless. It just happened sooner than we thought. That's all I think.
So, but
I was expecting them to cheat him at the convention like they did in 2016. You know.
Right.
And I didn't expect that our plan B would be kicking in until, you know, he moved to suspend again, like he did last time.
But why do you think he did it so early?
Well, I think that the establishment is using the virus as a way of suppressing the outcome. I think that they see a way to stop this. To stop the momentum, to stop this earlier than probably they initially planned.
I agree that they're using it for their advantage, but why would Bernie allow that to make him cave? Joe Biden's campaign's under the exact same pressures from the virus. So what's the reason for dropping out or suspending his campaign? That's what I didn't understand.
I think that he's following instructions from the Dem bosses, from Obama.
How revolutionary is that, though?
Well, it's not, but the bigger question is how did Obama wrangle all of the power to decide who the nominee is going to be from now on? Because that's what it appears that has happened, is that he's deciding, not the will of the people. Obama's deciding.
Well, he's a
You know,
salesman for very important people. That's all he ever was.
he sold me. I feel like shit. I voted for the guy twice.
Very smooth
What
guy.
a and that was a mistake. So that's on us. Anyway, how he is still in power. I mean, he's not obviously not the president anymore, and he doesn't have any political office any longer. Yet he's the one making the call. He's the one stopping the campaign. I mean, you could tell just when Bernie was answering that question in the interview right after he suspended. They asked him. They said, "Did you talk to Obama on the phone about this? How'd that go?" And Bernie said, "Oh well, that's private." You know.
I wouldn't care what
Oh
Obama said to me. If I was
yeah,
Bernie Sanders, I would not have ever ended my campaign. I would have stayed in all the way to the convention. I think that's what he needed to do. Minimal,
yeah,
minimal.
that would be good. That would be good. But when you go up against the DNC, we see what happens when you go up the DNC and you don't do what you say you're going to do. You
Why
know,
didn't he?
uh,
He said he was going to back the nominee. He could do that at the convention.
he could, but Bernie has a big family, and
Right.
if he goes against the DNC, he's putting a lot of people at risk. I mean, Bernie doesn't want to get JFK'd. I mean,
So
he's
you
not going
think
to
it
be
was
able to
concerns over his
then.
safety if he was to
Oh,
move
sure.
forward?
I think there's concerns over any freedom fighter's safety. Every civil rights leader that we've ever fucking seen has gotten assassinated.
True.
You know, and if Bernie steps out of line, you don't think he's at risk? You don't think he knows that?
No,
I
I
mean,
always thought he was at risk. I was amazed he was able to
yeah,
empower the people as much as he did.
yeah,
That they
yeah,
allowed it.
yeah, yeah. Well, he's that's his call, in my opinion. If he doesn't want to die, then fine. That's fine
That
with
was
me.
how I
I don't
came
want
to terms with it too. It's weird. It's not weird, but funny to me that we both had the same uh, thought. That it came to a point where it was, am I going to die for this? And he wasn't
hmm
willing to take that risk.
hmm
And what I think, he came out and he said that we're irresponsible if we can't support Joe Biden. And that bothered me deeply because I think what he did is irresponsible. Starting this revolution and getting it going, getting everybody excited and fighting against everything Joe Biden represents, only to suspend his campaign, immediately endorse Joe Biden, and then immediately expect his supporters to make the leap to someone who, like you were saying, has done nothing to show that he's going to fight for anything we care about. He hasn't
hmm
earned our vote. So how
Yep.
is that irresponsible? And that bothers me that he said that and that he's coming out like that and that Bree Joy, he wouldn't defend her. He was just like she's a former
hmm
employee. Instead of saying she's entitled to her opinion and Joe Biden needs to earn her vote and being more respectful to his former employee.
hmm
I don't like the
Yeah.
way he's acting right now. I'm trying really
Yeah.
hard not to be upset with him because I really respect and admire
hmm
the man, but I
Yeah.
just severely disagree with him right now.
Shawn, I honestly think that everything that Bernie is saying is scripted, and it's scripted by by Obama and the Democratic establishment.
Kind of like a
I think
kidnap
that
victim, just like reading from a
yeah,
script.
I think they're telling him what to say, and they're telling you need to say this and you need to say that. You need to stop your campaign. You need to suspend your campaign. You need to say this. You need to endorse Biden, and then you need to say this, this, and this, and you need to bring your supporters over to Biden. And so I think he's just following
But
instructions.
I think
But
that's
he
irresponsible
he,
because
he knows that candidate's ultra weak. He knows that a lot can happen in 4 months, and especially with the allegations that have surfaced, that campaign might take a nosedive like it did last time Biden tried to run for president, and when he got in trouble with all the plagiarism and that type of thing.
right.
So, this could be just a chess move for all we know. And is Bernie going to jump back in? Well, I don't. I'm not going to bet on that. But if the climate was right, he would. I bet. If the climate supported it, Um, you know, and if we insisted on it, along with this platform, things could change.
I
I
don't.
mean, we
I'm
might be
I'm
starting to get that
surprised that
too.
I had this thought, but just now I was thinking, I don't think I would push for him to get back in the fight with us. I think it's ours now,
Mm-hmm.
and that the hero
Well,
aspect of it is kind of what's done a little damage both times. Because we splintered
mhm,
in 2016, we're splintering again now,
mhm.
but because we're hinging it all on one man, we need to realize it's ours now, like you were saying, and I've been saying,
Yeah,
and take
yeah,
ownership of it.
yeah, yeah. And we need to do that outside. And I think that he's still going to try and push the platform inside at the convention, inside Fiserv Forum, and he's going to, exert whatever leverage he has inside, whatever's built up, depending on how many delegates he brings. But we want to get those delegates in on this yellow vest thing. We want them to we want half that forum to turn yellow inside, so everybody can see where the support lies. So the cameras, the helicopters, the local media, the independent media, uh, you know, so everybody sees. If it's enough of a if we kick up enough dust and make it enough of a spectacle, they'll cut the feed and go to Boys to Men, of course, on cable TV. But what's local news going to do? What's independent news going to do? They'll catch it on camera, and we won't be silenced. We just have to go big. We have to show up. So,
Well, I know I'm going to do everything I can to come. I want to be a part of it. And I encourage people to join into movements like this and activism like this and demonstrations like what you're putting together here. And I hope that we continue forward.
well, I think the French went a period of 10 months, I believe, where every weekend they came
We need
out.
to do
Uh,
this. I'm ready.
yeah,
It's time.
and oh yeah, in every state, every capital, but especially at DNC headquarters. Um, that
That's the kind of
this,
thing
this
we need to get going. I really believe
yeah,
that's the only thing that's going to make the noise that we need to make to get the changes that need to happen done.
hmm
We have to
and we
show
need
them we
to
won't back down.
right, and we need to focus this down into what it actually is. We Sean, we all understand that the country is just ripe for revolution, right? Um, and we don't know where the tipping point is going to be, and we don't know what the trigger is going to be. But that's not honestly what I'm trying to accomplish here. I'm not trying to start a revolution. That's a revolution is a legal overthrow of one's government. We're not trying to do that. I mean, if a revolution started from, was triggered from a Milwaukee event, fine, so be it. But what we're trying to specifically do here is an intervention, not a revolution. We're trying to intervene on one single corporation and scare them out of town. We're dealing with that. We're not trying to overthrow the country. We're not. We're not a violent. We're a peaceful. We're a non-violent group. Um, uh, so we need to keep it in perspective, because when people just get emotional and angry and they say revolution, well, I feel that, but it really clouds the task that we have in Milwaukee, because we're not trying to overthrow the government in Milwaukee. We're trying to ruin the DNC. We're trying to leverage them into getting what we want, and if they don't, we're trying to ruin that single company, a single organization that we're trying to put out of business. It's not a revolution. So I think that keeping that perspective narrows the task to something that is a goal that's achievable. It's kind of like, we can sweep our side of the street and get that thing nice and clean, or we can try to sweep the whole city, which ain't going to happen,
Right.
one fell swoop. It's not going to happen in one day. It's not going to happen for one event. Um, Revolution is a much longer thing than that. It's not a weekend. So it's not a 3 or 4 day event like we're planning. So I think it's important to keep that perspective, that is that we welcome revolutionaries, of course, but this is an intervention, and um, it's an application of leverage or force, um, in the same regard. It's just not violent, and we. I just want us to be heard this time. Before we take the DNC down, we're going to be seen. If they want to silence us again, fine, but at least we're going to be seen, and that's what the yellow is all about. And we know those super delegates are going to do what they do. They're shills, and they're going to put the candidate through that's going to keep making them money and keep that system in place. But there's a possibility that the only thing they value over money is saving face, right? Um, I don't think anybody wants to be the brunt of the 4 more year joke.
They're going to blame that on Bernie.
Yeah, but
they've already got their scapegoat lined up.
Right, but if we put together a situation where everyone in the world can see what the decision is that needs to happen, based on the colors that are inside the forum and outside, the sea of yellow outside, if everybody and their brother can see what the obvious choice is, where the unity lies, where the actual solidarity is, then we have a chance of discrediting them, and we have a chance of them saying, well, we better put the guy through that can win, because look at what's going on here. Look at all this spectacle. They can't squelch it if it's big enough.
Right. And I think it would inspire a lot of people too, that to join the movement and to get involved, seeing that demonstration.
Yeah. But anyway, we don't know what's going to happen. We just need to be ready. We need the numbers, and
so you're moving forward no matter what for this event.
Yeah. Yes.
During a set amount of time, or you're going to be flexible about when it happens?
Well, it's going to be August 17th through the 20th when they.
What if, saying if they move it again, it's always going to be when the convention is.
Then we'll move it. Then we'll move with.
Okay.
Them. Yeah, we'll put it with them. So, and if they go virtual, then we'll have to make a big pivot. Like I said, maybe to DC, to DNC headquarters. Maybe that would be the best place. There's a lot that can happen, but until then, we've got a long time still. Until then, we want to support workers and renters, and all the people that are hurting right now. We want to support the general strikes, the May 1st movement, any movement after that. We want to show up to that, and then in 4 months, save our pennies and get to Milwaukee. Find a friend to take, so you can split the expenses. Find a friend so someone has your back at an event like that. Don't go alone. Not that we can't take care of each other. It's just that it's a lot more affordable, and
it just makes more sense.
Yeah, it just makes more sense. You double the size if you bring a friend. Right.
So how can people, you think, the best way they can get involved in this movement if they want to be a part of it? What's the best way to reach out and get involved?
Well, definitely join Bernie or Vest. Join similar movements like Occupy Milwaukee, the Coalition to March on the DNC, Millions to Milwaukee, the Socialist Alternatives Movement. Join all those groups. We've all got the same goals. That's one thing that we can do, and we need to find our unity that way. Not just Bernie supporters, but people that hate the DNC. And I'll bet you there's a million people that hate the DNC.
There should be. That's a low number, I think. I think you got more than that. I just think what we have to do is inspire them, make them believe, show them. And that's what this kind of stuff is going to do. So I think that's good. But we look like we agree that direct action is the way to go moving forward.
Yes. And there's a lot of top economists that believe that too. Richard Wolff, I'm a big fan of his. Sustained direct action is what it boils down in his opinion. Chris Hedges, civil disobedience and sustained direct actions are really, really what we need now. That's the tide that we need to see change. We need to see people coming out. This whole virus thing's got folks scared, but it ain't going to last forever.
And that's going to empower us. I really think so. Once we start getting a little direction and finding our footing and figuring out how to walk on our own. A viewer the other day said that Bernie took the training wheels off today. Daddy let go of the bike. We got to figure out how to ride this thing.
That's a great analogy, and I believe that too.
So I think that's how we move forward, and we'll get more empowered the more we figure out how to do that. But I think that's the direction. And that everybody should give people time to grieve and come to terms with what's happened here and be understanding. But no one should be expecting anyone to make a decision to vote for Joe Biden, God forbid, or a Green Party, or vote for anybody right now. I think you just need to be focusing on, well, I want to get these certain things done and these certain things accomplished and make this progress. When the best way to do that is A, B, C, and D.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well, what's on the line here is not just one candidate's position. He's a figurehead. What's on the line is that platform.
Right.
Medicare for all. We got to come away with 100% Medicare for all. We got to come away with a Green New Deal for this globe to survive. I mean, there's just certain things we have to have that we can't be willing to let go of. That will absolutely tell them, no, you cannot have our vote.
Agreed.
Because you don't support these things. So they have to know that we won't vote for them. They can't. They can't. They just can't have our vote without these things. We have to have those things.
I completely agree with you. And there's nothing wrong with that. These elections, these are important positions we're electing people for, and we're electing representatives that have a lot of power. We should be very picky, very selective in that process. And we should want it to be that way. There's nothing wrong with that. That's why it was making me mad when the primary's going on and everybody's like, well, you should just support Joe Biden. We're having a primary right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're making a decision. We're vetting the candidates. That's what this is for. We don't need to be picking. It's just ridiculous. But I think right now we're going to be in a better position if we can stay together and doing things like what you're doing and more direct action, stuff like that, I think is what's going to keep us together.
Yeah, and we need to build by aligning ourselves with other groups. I was reading Wikipedia about the 2017 Women's March. I was interested in what and how they organized that movement. It was so successful. They got so many people to come out. The only problem is they went home for dinner. But anyway, it was a successful organization, and 4 women organized that movement in a month and a half.
Really?
Yeah, and it wasn't just a women's march. A lot of people think it was because of the amount of pink hats and everything. Right. But what that really was 4 women getting over 100 groups together to make that happen.
Wow.
So that's an important step is finding the alignment and getting other progressive groups buy-in to turning out in Milwaukee. And I think we can make that happen. I think, like I was saying before, there are certainly enough people that are pissed off at the DNC to make that happen.
By far, sure. I'm sure of it. And there's very good reason for that too. And
the other really good thing, Shawn, is that a lot of us aren't employed anymore and we have the time to do this. You know what I mean? There's a ton of folks that wouldn't have been able to make it out because they didn't have the time off. They don't have the vacation accrued, but now we've got a ton of activists that are just dying to get out there.
Right. And this
and
is the
that
time
could
to do it.
It sure is. It sure is. And so save those pennies. Save the pennies. Find a friend. Come to Milwaukee, man. We need us right now. We need us all more than ever right now. And it is up to us. Bernie's been dropping hints his entire campaign. Not me, us. Um, Up to us.
Right.
All of these things point to the same message that, like you said before, one guy can't do this. No one guy can. You know, only Shawn, when millions of people come together, and to say enough is enough, from the bottom on up, only then can change take place. And Bernie's trying to bring us all together here to Milwaukee. He tried in 2016 too, get us all in one place at one time, and let's create an intervention. And who knows, maybe it would spark a needed revolution. But we got to get together on this and pool our resources, so to speak, and make this happen and dig our heels in this time.
Agreed, and never back down.
That's right. Last time we were surprised. In 2016, we didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, Bernie moved to suspend, and we stood there and cried. We're like, what happened just now? And we all went home scratching our heads saying, well, what happened? No plan B, right? So this time we are ready, my friend. We are ready. We know what they're capable of. We saw their tricks last time. We saw their white noise machines last time. We saw the snipers on the roof last time at Wells Fargo. We saw it all transpire last time. So we know what they're capable of. We've been planning for it, Shawn. We've been organizing in private. That kind of thing doesn't happen on Facebook. So we've got a pretty good plan in place. Not a plan I can share, because there's specifics that we don't want people to know,
right,
of course.
Exactly.
But we're working hard, and we're trying to build that coalition that hopefully Bernie or Vest will just be a small part of. Hopefully it'll be that big.
That sounds exciting. I like hearing that kind of stuff. And I really want to see us stay active and stay involved and keep working towards progress, because I really believe we can do it.
Platform's worth it. Yeah, we can do it, Shawn. You're right, and that platform is worth it. It's worth it, and that's the prize now. A lot of people thought that having Bernie as the president was the prize. Well, no, the prize is having that sweet platform that everybody needs so desperately right now.
Yes, and we can still do all these things. We can still make all of this happen.
Right, and the barriers are falling down, my friend. They're falling down. The price objection that these politicians have now, how are you going to pay for it? That's to shit now. That doesn't mean anything. Nobody can say that anymore. No. Everybody knows it, right? Which that's just so revealing that we can come up with money to do anything we want, So that's a barrier that's just now it's just fallen by the wayside,
Right.
You'll get laughed out of the room now if you say how we're going to pay for it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They're just pulling money out of everywhere. No one's raising an eyebrow. But I really appreciate you coming on and talking about the Bernie or Vest movement with me today. And I wanted to inform people about this movement and movements like it. Like you were saying, it's all part of a web. It's all interconnected, and that's how we grow our power and our strength. So I think these are just good things I want to bring focus to from now on moving forward and get people aware of different ways they can get involved. So I really appreciate you coming on and talking about it.
Well, Shawn, I appreciate you speaking truth to power, and I love your show. And I hope you keep going with that.
Well, thank you. And let me know any way that I can help you guys promote events coming up or anything like that. I've partnered up with you guys before to try to promote the movement, and I'd love to do more work with you guys. If you need anything, let me know.
Right on, man. You got your yellow vest?
Yeah, I'm ready. I've already requested the time off, and I've been saving. I want to go. I want to be a part of it. I think that's the kind of things we need to do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, if we, regardless of whether we have success in Milwaukee, we're going to give it everything we got. And after it's done, I think we ought to head down to Republican National Convention, and
Make some noise there too.
yeah, make that party go sideways. It doesn't deserve to. They don't deserve their coronation
You know,
either.
Trump's a windsock, I think. I think we could push him to the left, honestly. We need to keep
He's
moving forward no matter who's in the office and pressure any of them.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Trump is just a symptom of a diseased system.
Yeah, but he's a
And
public servant. He works for us, and we need to hold him responsible, hold his feet to the fire. He's
mhm,
sitting in that desk right now. So I may not like it, but I want him to work. I want him to do what
yeah,
we want, what we need.
yeah,
So that's what we need to do is get loud so that we can get that kind of stuff done.
yeah, yeah. I want the people inside Fiserv Forum. I want all those delegates to be able to hear the support outside. We need enough people out there where, our roar outside, they can hear it inside. What kind of support do you think that would lend them?
I hope
You
it's a
know
sea
how?
of people. They need to see that their behavior will not be condoned and anymore. That fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. You're not going to keep doing this to us.
Yeah,
So it
yeah,
cannot stand. We need to make sure they know that.
yeah. And what we allow will continue.
Hmm. Your reality ends up being what you tolerate.
Yeah,
So we can't tolerate this anymore. I agree with you, and we need to do everything we can to fight it.
hmm, absolutely. Thanks, Shawn.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on and talking about this stuff, and thank you for organizing this stuff and taking your time to fight for these important issues.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Well, I appreciate it. So thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for doing this, man.